You see, the world has an interesting way of showing you where you stand. You walk into a room with a big smile, open arms, giving people your time, your energy, your kindness, thinking that's the way to build relationships. But then something happens. You realize not everyone values that. You give too much and suddenly your presence isn't special anymore, it's expected. Your kindness isn't appreciated, it's taken for granted. And your time? Well, people assume it's theirs to waste. Here's the truth. People don't respect what's easily available. It's not because they're bad, it's because human nature values exclusivity. Think about it. When something is rare, people chase it. When something is everywhere, people overlook it. And that applies to you as well. So if you've been feeling like your kindness isn't being reciprocated, if you're always the one making the plans, the one checking in, the one putting in the effort, stop, pull back, set boundaries, watch what happens when you make your time a privilege, not a convenience. Respect is not demanded, it is commanded. And it starts with you valuing yourself first. Because the moment you stop being so easily accessible, the world will realize your presence was never ordinary. It was always extraordinary. The world has an interesting way of showing you what it values. Look around and you'll notice something. The things people admire the most, the ones they chase, the ones they dream about, they're never the things that are easy to get. Luxury brands don't put their products on every shelf. They don't scream for attention. They don't sell to just anyone. And because of that, people line up for them. They wait, they save, they desire. The moment something is rare, its worth skyrockets. Now think about how this applies to you. When you're always available, always saying yes, always giving your time, people stop seeing it as valuable. They assume you'll always be there. They stop appreciating your presence because they believe they can have it whenever they want. And that's when you feel it, that slow shift. You go from being someone they cherish to someone they expect, from someone they admire to someone they overlook. Not because you changed, but because you made yourself too accessible. And human nature? It doesn't chase what it already has. It chases what it fears losing. So what happens when you pull back? When you stop answering every call, when you stop saying yes to everything, when you give yourself the exclusivity that the world values, suddenly people start paying attention. They wonder why you're not so easy to reach anymore. They start appreciating your time because they realize it's not a given. They start treating you differently, not because they've changed, but because you have. Because you finally understood your presence is a privilege, not a convenience. You think being there for everyone makes you a good person. You think answering every call, responding to every message, saying yes to every plan makes you valuable. But have you ever stopped to ask yourself, do they value you the same way? At first it feels good, being the reliable one, the one people can count on, the one who always shows up. But over time something shifts. You notice that people stop appreciating your presence. They don't thank you for your time. They don't acknowledge the effort you put in. Because to them it's not effort. It's just what you do. They assume you'll always be there, so they stop valuing it. They take your kindness and turn it into expectation. They take your time and treat it like it belongs to them. And the worst part? You let them. Because you're afraid that if you stop being available, they'll stop needing you. But here's what you need to understand. Being needed and being respected are not the same thing. When you're always available, you become background noise. You're there, but they don't really see you. You give, but they don't really appreciate it. You pour into them, but they never pour back into you. And it's not because they're bad people, it's because you taught them that your time costs nothing. But what happens when you start treating your time like the precious thing it is? What happens when you stop being at everyone's beck and call? When you stop over-explaining, stop over-giving, stop stretching yourself thin just to keep people happy? Something incredible happens. People start noticing your absence. They start realizing your worth. Not because they've changed, but because you did. Because you finally understood your time is not free and not everyone deserves it. Kindness is beautiful. It has the power to heal, to uplift, to connect people in ways nothing else can. But only when it's given from the heart, not out of obligation. The problem is, too many people mistake kindness for weakness. They see someone who gives and instead of appreciating it, they start expecting it. They take advantage of it. They assume that because you are kind, you will always say yes. that you will always be there, that you will always put their needs above your own. And before you know it, your kindness stops being seen as a gift. It becomes a service, a duty, something they feel entitled to instead of something they feel grateful for. But here's what you need to remember. Kindness is a choice, not a requirement. You do not owe anyone your time, your energy, or your generosity just because they expect it. You are not a limitless source of giving. You are a person who deserves the same kindness you offer to others. So give wisely. Be kind, but not at the cost of your own well-being. Be generous, but only to those who appreciate it. Because kindness is powerful, but only when it is respected. Only when it is valued. Only when it is given to those who understand that a gift is never owed, it is earned. When you're always there, people stop noticing. When you're always available, people stop appreciating. It's not because they don't care, it's because human nature doesn't value what feels guaranteed. Think about it. When something is always within reach, no one rushes to get it. When something is always accessible, no one stops to admire it. It's only when it's gone, when it's out of reach, that people start to realize what they had. This is why pulling back is powerful, because when you create distance, you create value. When you stop chasing, people start wondering. When you stop overgiving, people start missing. When you stop saying yes to everything, people start questioning what they did to lose that privilege. And that's the key. Your time, your energy, your presence, they are privileges, not guarantees. If you always pour into people without limits, they never stop to think about how much they're taking. They never stop to appreciate what they've been given. But when you step away, when you choose to put yourself first, something shifts. People begin to notice your absence. They start realizing the effort you used to give. They start understanding that your presence was never ordinary, it was special. And suddenly, the things they took for granted become the things they long for. This is not about playing games. It's about self-respect. It's about knowing your worth and not being afraid to protect it. Because the moment you stop being so easy to reach, the world will finally understand just how valuable you truly are. There comes a time when you have to stop explaining yourself. Stop justifying why you need space. Stop feeling guilty for saying no. Because setting boundaries is not selfish. It is not arrogance. It is self-respect. For too long you've been stretching yourself thin, saying yes when you wanted to say no, showing up for people who wouldn't do the same for you, giving your time, your energy, your love, without ever asking if you were getting it back. And the truth is, people will take as much as you allow them to, not because they're bad, but because you never showed them where to stop. You never taught them that your time has limits, that your energy is valuable, that your presence is not a right, it's a privilege. So when you finally start setting boundaries, something happens. People who took advantage of you will call you difficult. People who benefited from your self-neglect will say you've changed. And that's fine, because you have. You've changed for the better. You've learned that your peace matters, that your needs matter, that prioritizing yourself is not an act of arrogance, but an act of survival. Because if you keep giving and giving without protecting yourself, you will run empty. And when you're empty, who will fill you back up? No one. Because they never learned how. So let them call you selfish, let them misunderstand you, let them walk away if they can't respect your limits. Because the ones who truly care about you, who truly love you, will never be offended by your self-respect. They will understand it, they will honor it, and they will love you not just for what you give to them, but for how you finally learned to give to yourself. Stop explaining yourself to people who have already made up their minds about you. Stop justifying your decisions to those who were never interested in understanding them. Stop overgiving to people who only take and never give back. Because the ones who truly value you will not need constant reminders. They will not need to be convinced of your worth. They will not question your presence or take your kindness for granted. But the ones who do, they will always ask for more. More explanations, more reasons, more of your time, your energy, your effort, without ever giving the same in return. You will find yourself constantly proving your loyalty, your love, your intentions. And for what? For someone who only listens when it benefits them? For someone who only sees your worth when you overextend yourself? You don't have to keep proving yourself to the wrong people. The right ones will see your value without a performance. They will understand your silence just as much as your words. They will appreciate what you give without expecting more than you can offer. So stop over-explaining. You don't owe anyone a justification for your choices, your boundaries, your growth. And stop over-giving. Love should not feel like a debt you must constantly repay. The people meant for you will never require you to exhaust yourself to keep them. Because when someone truly values you, They don't need to be convinced. They already know. Respect is not something you ask for. It is not something you beg for. It is something you command. By the way you carry yourself, by the way you set boundaries, by the way you refuse to accept anything less than what you deserve. People watch how you treat yourself. They listen to the way you speak about yourself. They notice what you tolerate, what you allow, what you let slide. And from that, they learn how to treat you. If you shrink yourself to make others comfortable, they will expect you to stay small. If you always put their needs above your own, they will assume your needs don't matter. If you accept disrespect in silence, they will believe their words and actions have no consequences. And before you know it, you have set a standard, one that tells the world it is okay to mistreat you. But when you choose differently, everything changes. When you walk with confidence, people take notice. When you set boundaries, they either respect them or walk away. When you demand nothing but honesty, effort, and mutual respect, you filter out those who cannot meet that standard. Because the truth is, the way you treat yourself sets the tone for how others treat you. If you do not respect yourself, do not expect anyone else to. But when you honor yourself, when you refuse to settle, when you carry yourself with unwavering self-worth, the world follows suit. And in that moment, you will realize respect was never something you had to fight for. It was something you had to embody. When something is everywhere, it loses its power. When it's always available, it's no longer special. Think about the things in life that truly hold value. Are they the things that are easy to get? Or are they the rare, the exclusive, the hard to reach? Scarcity creates demand. The less accessible you are, the more valuable you become. It's simple human nature. People chase what they can't have. They desire what they fear lose. When something is constantly within reach, people take it for granted. They don't put in the effort to truly appreciate it. But the moment that thing becomes rare, the moment it becomes a challenge to obtain, that's when the value skyrockets. You see this everywhere, in business, in relationships, in life. The rare is revered. The exclusive is sought after. And you are no different. When you make yourself too accessible, too available, too easy to get, people stop valuing you. They assume they can always have you. They stop fighting for your time, for your attention, for your respect. But when you step back, when you make people work for your time, your energy, your presence, that's when they begin to notice your worth. That's when they start to realize how special you really are. Because scarcity creates demand. The less you give, the more they want. The less you chase, the more they come after you. When you stop making yourself so easy to access, people start seeing you in a different light. They start to respect you, value you, appreciate you, not because you've changed, but because you stopped being so easy to take for granted. And that is when you become truly valuable. You cannot be everything to everyone, and you shouldn't try to be. In life, we often get caught up in the number of people around us, the number of friends we have, the number of connections we can claim. But what happens when we focus only on the quantity of relationships? We end up surrounded by people who don't really know us, who don't truly care about us, or who only value us for what we can give them. The truth is, not everyone deserves a place in your life. Not everyone should have access to your time, your energy, and your heart. Quality over quantity is not just a nice idea, it's a rule to live by. When you choose meaningful connections over being liked by everyone, you're choosing depth over surface level interactions. You're choosing authenticity over superficiality. Think about the people who have had the biggest impact on your life. Are they the ones who are always around, trying to please everyone? Or are they the ones who stand by you, who see you for who you truly are, who support you even when it's hard? The people who matter are the ones who see your flaws and still choose to love you. The people who understand your silence as much as your words. The ones who bring out the best in you, not because they need something from you, but because they genuinely care about who you are. And that's rare. Those connections aren't built overnight. They're earned through shared experiences, through real conversations, through moments of vulnerability. But they are the relationships that last. They are the ones that nourish you, that help you grow, that challenge you to be better. On the other hand, trying to be liked by everyone spreads you thin. You become a chameleon, changing yourself to fit whatever image others want to see. You give and give, but never truly receive. In the end, you're left feeling empty, wondering why none of these relationships truly satisfy you. So choose quality. Choose those who lift you up, who inspire you, who see your worth and treat you accordingly. Choose the connections that mean something, not the ones that are just convenient. You are not like everyone else. You were never meant to blend in. Your presence is not ordinary, it is extraordinary. But sometimes you forget that. You downplay your own value. You shrink yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. You hold back your power, your light, because you're afraid of standing out. But let me remind you, there is nothing ordinary about you. Your thoughts, your energy, your unique gifts, they are meant to impact the world. You have a purpose that is bigger than just existing. You were made to shine, yet too often you dim your own light for the comfort of others. You hide your brilliance so that you don't make others uncomfortable. But the truth is, your greatness is not a threat to others. It is an invitation for others to step up, to be their best selves, to rise to the occasion. When you show up as the extraordinary person you are, you inspire those around you to do the same. Your presence should never feel like an accident. You should never walk into a room and wonder if you belong there. You were born to take up space, to own the moment, to bring something into the world that no one else can. So act like it. Walk into every room with confidence. Speak with authority. Carry yourself with the understanding that you bring something unique, something valuable to every interaction. Stop apologizing for being you. Stop second guessing your worth. When you show up fully. Be unapologetically yourself, because the world needs the real you, not the version of you that holds back, the version of you that's afraid to be seen. Your presence is extraordinary. So start acting like it. Own your value, own your brilliance, and never shrink yourself for anyone. Because when you embrace your extraordinary presence, you don't just change the way the world sees you, you change the way you see yourself. You start walking with the belief that you deserve to take up space, that your voice matters, that your light is meant to shine. So, from this moment forward, stop hiding, stop second guessing, and start acting like the extraordinary person you were always meant to be. The world is waiting for your full expression.